Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Navigating Seasons with Sonia. I switched it up on y'all today. I was planning to be outside, but we inside, y'all. It is hot here in California, and so I decided to bring you into the lady lair, my lady lair. I call this room, and it's so cozy. As you can see, it's full of pillows, nice and plush and cozy, where you can just relax. So again, welcome. And we're going to be getting into the next episode. Where we left off from was I was in the hospital. I had had my operation, my surgery to have my catheter placed, which they put in my chest on the right hand side. And now I'm going to go into my very first day of dialysis in the hospital and what that was like. Again, we navigate these seasons, so it's always something, right? So, just to pick up where I left off, that Sunday I had my operation. Monday they said, we'll be bringing in the machines and we're going to dialyze you so we can start pulling this fluid off your body. So that's exactly what they did. They came, the dialysis nurse and technicians with the dialysis machines and all the other equipment. And I was right there in the hospital bed and they hooked me up to the machine. So what I'm going to be sharing with you guys in this video are some pictures of my catheter that was in my chest and how they connected in the tubes into my catheter in my chest. I like to call them tentacles that were coming out of my chest. And as I mentioned before, the surgery, the catheter was a direct connection to my heart, right? So that's a doozy. So just imagine being there, having this thing in your chest, and then they're hooking this machine up to the little tentacles, like two little tentacles that I call them, coming out of my chest. And what they would do, they would hook one tube into one tentacle, the other tube into the other tentacle, right? And that represented the arterial and then the venous for the direction of the blood flow. So, what would happen once I'm all connected and they get the machine going, the blood would come out of my body, out of the arterial tentacle into the machine, and it would go through the machine. So I'm sitting there in the bed looking at the machine, watching my blood go out of my body into the machine, and it's getting cleaned and cleansed of toxins and all the things, pulling fluid, all of those things. Then once that blood is clean, it comes back through the other tube that goes into the venous tentacle, and then that puts the blood back in my body. Crazy, right? Crazy. So I'm literally watching my blood come out and come back in. And I had to sit there and go through this treatment at that time for about 3 hours, right? And I didn't feel anything. It didn't hurt or I didn't feel anything. It was just really strange to sit there and watch this. And the blood, if you felt the tubes, the blood coming out of my body was warm. So I always say nobody can say I'm cold blooded. So the blood coming out was warm and then it was coming back into my body. So during that treatment time, of course, you have your blood pressure monitor on. They're monitoring your blood pressure. You have your heart rate things on your chest because they're keeping track of all your vitals throughout this time to ensure that you remain stable. Because oftentimes, what happens is people's blood pressure will shoot up or it would go real, 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 real low. So during that time, thankfully, there was no issue with my blood pressure. Everything, was smooth sailing for the most part. And so I had to go through that, like I said, for 3 hours. Then they disconnect you. And once they disconnect you and disconnect the machine, they take those two little tentacles that are coming out of my chest and they wrap them up. And I like to call it a burrito because they would wrap the two of them together and it looked like a little burrito and it stayed there. And then they would tie it down on my chest and I couldn't touch them. I wasn't supposed to touch them, mess with them, take the bandages off, do nothing because of the high risk of infection. So they would do that. And that was a dialysis treatment. Okay. Um, Following the treatment, like I said, I was fine. I didn't feel any different. But the good thing was they were able to pull so much fluid off throughout this session of treatment, which was good because they had to get that off of my body. Okay. So that was treatment number one. That was on a Monday. And they told me I was going to get 3 treatments that week in the hospital. So sure enough, they came back the next day on Tuesday, same process. And then they came back. I think we skipped Wednesday and they came back on Thursday. Okay. And I had another treatment. And then by the end of that week, they were making arrangements for me to be able to go to a clinic once I was discharged from the hospital. So I was discharged that Friday. And being that I was going to be discharged that Friday, I wouldn't have treatment the Saturday and the Sunday. And then I would start at my new treatment clinic near my home on that Monday. So that was the process of going through the dialysis and how it went. And like I said, it wasn't terrible. It was different. It was odd. It wasn't something I was used to. And especially seeing my blood coming out of my body. Um, in a few videos back, I had mentioned to you guys after my company shut down, I didn't have health insurance. All these things were going on. So, my concern and the hospitals was how are we going to make sure that you are insured so you can get the treatment that you need? This is life or death, basically. And so I mentioned to you guys how amazing my medical team was at the Vacaville Kaiser. And one of the social workers came in and she spoke with me about my diagnosis, the treatment, being uninsured, all these different things. And she told me, she said, a case like yours doesn't normally come across my desk, but it did. And it was for a reason. She said, and I'm going to help you. You're going to get what you need. We're going to make sure you have your insurances in place and everything you need before we discharge you from this hospital. So you're not going anywhere until we do that. And I really wanted to go home, guys. I was missing my Pepper at the time, my little kitty. I was missing her. She was missing me. And so, thankfully, they were able to get everything together. I was able to be discharged on a Friday. My daughter in love came and picked me up from the hospital because my son was working. And so we wrapped it all up. And it was so funny because the whole team at the hospital, they didn't want me to leave. They said, we have enjoyed you so much. We're going to miss you. And we want you to get better, but we don't want you to leave. Honey, they was trying to put me to work in doing something at that hospital. And I'm so grateful and fortunate to have had a team that really looked after me and took very, very, very good care of me. Um, so that was my first week of dialysis treatment in the hospital. And that Friday, I got discharged, had everything that I needed, and I came home and I was so happy and so grateful to be home. And then I had that weekend to just kind of you know, really process, think about things, talk to people, whatever. And then Monday I was going to get ready for my first day of treatment at my new dialysis treatment center. Um, I'll share with that in the next video, share all about that in the next video. And like I said, I will be posting some pictures of my catheter, where it was placed, how it looks, and all of those things. And we're just going to continue on in this journey. And as I mentioned to you before, just be kind, extend grace, take care of yourselves, um, love on your people, very, very important. And just, just, just keep care of yourself. And that's all I can say. In many episodes later down the line, I will be sharing more about nutrition and working out and things like that, and things to be mindful of as we eat, what we consume. Processed foods are not the greatest for us. A lot of sugar, a lot of salt. I've learned so much going through this process about what to really be mindful of. Salt is a big one, you guys. Salt is huge. And so you just have to really be careful with that. Different types of things that we consume: phosphorus, potassium, calcium, all these things. So I'm, I'm not perfect. I'm not a professional. I don't give medical advice, but I do a lot of research. I have learned a lot in my journey and this season I've been walking through. So my intention is just to kind of share in those areas as well, to educate people, so you have the knowledge so you can make informed decisions for yourself, for your family moving forward. Um, I think that's about all I wanted to share in this video. Again, welcome to my lady lair. It's beautiful. You'll see more as time moves on. I'm just sitting on one of my sofas in the lady lair. Like I said, it's so comfortable. And, I love to read. I have my bookcase over here, and I love to read books. So I do that. I sit here in a lady lair where it's just calm and cozy and comfortable and quiet. And yeah, so again, thank you. Thank you so much for visiting my channel, for going on this journey with me, for navigating this season with me. And all I ask is that you like, comment, subscribe, share, get this out, to the community. I want to be a community here to help others as much as I can. I will be bringing on my special guests, as I mentioned before, to share their journeys. So I'm going to have various series with other people and their journeys and how they're navigating as well. Um, so I think that's pretty much it for today. I hope you liked my dress and my hat, my hair, my jewelry. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, be strong, be hopeful, and I'll see you next time. This is Sonia with Navigating Seasons with Sonia. Smooches.